going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt, often called Big Nerdy. We are the NWO, the Nerd World Order, and this is Nerdzoer. I want to take you back to spring 2002. It is an exciting time because Attack of the Clones, the movie, is on the horizon, which means the toys are also on the horizon. This will be my first major Star Wars release as a major non-muggle, as in a toy collector, and I should have been in a really happy and excited place in life in general, but honestly, I wasn't. At this point, I'm about 9 months removed from high school graduation, and remember, after graduation, I moved 100 miles away, left all my family and friends, and I was feeling really homesick and kind of depressed. I was very lonely. I didn't have any friends in the new place save for the manager at work, and I wasn't in the best of places. On top of that, college wasn't going great for me. Because of my depression and loneliness, I really was having a hard time applying myself, and the grades were showing it, and I really had no idea what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Altogether, there were 3 things that I had: work, school, toy hunt. And if you can't guess, the toy hunts and the toy world was my escape from all the sadness, depression, loneliness, and stress. So yeah, toys were naturally the best thing I had going. They were my happy place. It's what kept me peaceful inside. In that toy world, the Power of the Jedi line, which is where I really got going as a collector, was winding to a close. You couldn't find anything on the pegs, and I was hungry for more toys. As the announcements for the new Saga Episode 2 line were coming out, I was just like, I wanted everything that I saw. At the time, my level of completionism was so insane, I even needed to have variants that made no sense. Like this, Kit Fisto and Kit Fisto. They look the same, right? Well, one of them has a little card in the background and one of them doesn't, so I needed both. Yeah, I was insane. Looking back now, I can almost feel how excited I was. I even remember the preview figures. Babumba preview figures. I overpaid like a maniac for them because I was so excited. I needed to have them. But the one that I wanted most, the one out of all of them, I could trade all the others for this one, Count Dooku. That would be this guy. I got 2. But here I was, a big Christopher Lee fan. I was a big film buff. In high school, I studied old movies, so I knew a lot of his old movies. And then he was in Lord of the Rings as Saruman, and I was like, yeah, I love this guy. Then when he was going to be in Star Wars, it's just like, what? Aside from loving the actor, I was intrigued by the Count Dooku character. The fact that he was a fallen Jedi, the fact that he was Qui-Gon's master and then became disillusioned. I was just super curious what was going on with this guy, and I wanted his figure. Now, the toy release was scheduled for April 23rd, 2002, and it was going to be a 12:01 midnight release, and this would be what is called Midnight Madness. Now they call that Triple Force Friday, and I'll tell you, whatever you want to call it, it's amazing. And this would be my first Midnight Madness because I missed out on the first one because I wasn't into collecting toys when episode 1 came out. So yeah, here I am, super pumped, ready to roll, talk to my buddy John. We were going to go to the Oxford Valley Mall Toys R Us. I had my checklist printed out from Rebel Scum, which there it is. I even found it 20 years later. I was so pumped. Had my money saved. Let's do this. Got to get my Count Dooku. I know, Dooku. I was online reading then and plot twist. No Toys R Us's are opening in Pennsylvania. What? In fact, they only opened about 17% of the entire chain nationwide. And here I am sitting there waiting for a list to come out. All I knew was none in Pennsylvania. I knew Times Square was going to open, but I'd never driven to New York by myself. I'd never left Pennsylvania driving by myself. That was a bad idea. Some of you youngsters might be like, oh, what's the big deal? Just drive. Listen, the world was a lot smaller then. We didn't have GPS. We had road atlases, like this Rand McNally atlas here. Yeah, that's what we had. And we take our little book and open it. It was not fun at night, let me tell you. The irony here is that as I was doing my research for this video, I found out that the FAO Schwartz at King of Prussia Mall opened at midnight, so I could have just went there, but oh well. So here I am, all stressed out because I want to go out, I want to go get Count Dooku, and I want to do Midnight Madness, but I can't because they're not doing it in PA. And what? I want to try to go anyway, but I'm unsure if I can even find a Toys R Us in another state. I don't know how this is going to work. And if I did, I've never driven that far. I already told you about the GPS issue, so yeah, then what's going on? And if that's not enough, here comes some more stress. The rumor that Count Dooku is going to be short-packed and impossible to find. Of course, this was on random message boards that I found these back in the day, but, I saw it on the internet. It has to be true in 2002. So I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh my god, he might be impossible to find. I might never get a Count Dooku figure. It sounds crazy now, but back then, it was like, oh my god, we might never actually see this figure. And the FOMO kicked in, and I was like, uh-oh, Dooku FOMO. I mean, these rumors continued after the release even, and people, like, they were really upset about it, even though it turned out he wasn't short pack, but we all thought he was. If all of that's not stressful enough, some of the stores are breaking street dates. So Walmart's putting toys out early. Now I'm like, oh great. If some of these toys are gone already, Count the Coup could be gone before opening. And luckily they plugged that leak pretty quickly. Once the leak was plugged, I knew we had a shot here. We needed to find a Toys R Us close by, so the list came out on theforce.net and we went through it and we said, okay, where can we go? And we decided to go to Woodbridge, New Jersey Toys R Us because we thought it was the closest one because the list was made by store number and not by actual state. There was actually one right over the Pennsylvania state line that we could have went to, but we didn't see it. So Woodbridge was the plan. The one thing we didn't want though was to get anywhere near New York because we knew Times Square would be a complete freaking nightmare. So the day finally comes. It's the 22nd of April, the day before the midnight, I should say. And I remember during lunch, I went over to Walmart, like I did pretty much every day, and they had the toy section, that aisle. They had a whole freaking aisle closed off. They had all the cases out, all the pegs empty, getting ready to put out, and I'm like, oh God, we're getting close. We're getting close. So I headed up 83 after school was done, got on the turnpike, and headed towards Philly. Keep in mind, again, I had only driven Philly and west at this point. I never went into Jersey driving before. This was going to be an adventure. We left, I think, around 10. We headed over, and just like George Washington, we crossed the Delaware into New Jersey, man. And it's interesting because we did it right around Washington's Crossing, because we went to high school like 10 minutes from Washington's Crossing, Pennsylvania, where he actually crossed, so historic. Got into Jersey, and driving in Jersey sucks. So the street sign's completely different. They have these things called jug handles because just making a left-hand turn's not easy enough. And as a guy who's only been driving for about 2.5 years, it was not pretty. John's sitting here in the dark with the Rand McNally map. I'm driving the Chevy Trailblazer, and we're trying to figure this out. He's like, I think you turn here, go here. We ended up overshooting Woodbridge. We ended up in Newark, which is, again, not a great area. As I'm trying to get out of Newark, I think I'm on like the north end of Newark at this point, and I start seeing signs, this lane for the Lincoln Tunnel, and I'm like, oh, whew, not good. Gonna end up in New York City. Worst nightmare here. If you haven't ever driven in New York City, it's not fun. I've driven it a few times in my life. I hate it. At 19, forget about it. I wanted nothing to do with it. Pulled off into a gas station, talked to the guy. He gave us directions back to Woodbridge, but the guy we remember vividly 20 years later, you boys know Toys R Us ain't open at midnight, right? And we were like, oh, really? We didn't know that. Because you can't explain it to a muggle gas station guy. It's just not going to happen. So we turned back around, took his directions, and finally, almost by accident, we found the Toys R Us about a half hour before midnight. Got in line, got in the store, and holy moly, what a mob scene. And let me tell you, the FOMO was real right away because people were just grabbing and pushing and getting, and we had a good strategy. For those of you who've never seen me and John stand next to each other, I'm 6'3", he's like 5'6", 5'7", so we had a good thing going. He would go under the pile, basically, get underneath people's arms and go in there and literally get them back to me. Sometimes he'd go right over the pile, but yo, over the top, Shaq T. And what we did was we kept our cart, which was just outside the main area because they had the toys set up in the front of the store, in the Barbie section. I figured no one's looking there, so I pushed the cart into the Barbie section, and he get me figures, and I push him in there, and we had to get 3 of each, because 1 for me, and he's following the rule of 2. He was even more of a maniac than me, apparently. And yeah, it was crazy. Then you add in the variants that I talked about, and I'm like, lots of figures filled up that cart real quick, but no Count the Coup. We just spied in carts. We couldn't bring ourselves to ask anyone, did you find Count the Coup? But we looked high and wide, and we heard people talking. No Coup. So I'm thinking, okay, someone must have got in there before us. Someone got him. We just missed him. So we were kind of upset. So it looked like we failed, but no. It's 2 a.m. We're 2 hours from home. We said, wait a second. Walmart opens at 6 in Philly. We got this. Drove home. Took a quick nap. I slept at my grandma's house. R.I.P. me, Mom, I miss you. We got up at 5:30, went to Dunkin' Donuts, and we were ready to go on about an hour and a half, 2 hours sleep to find Count the Coup. Started off that round 2, like I said, with Dunkin' Donuts. Vanilla cream filled, by the way. That's the way to go. Walmart, we were not the first ones in. There was a little bit of a line. Thank you, Hot Wheels collectors. But we got there relatively early again, no Count the Coup. Went to the mall, it's 7 a.m. I know, mall's not open, but we thought maybe KB Toys would open. And the mall was unlocked, believe it or not, because of the fact that the mall walkers get there at the beginning of the morning, like God knows what time. So we sat outside KB Toys, the chain link fences down, we're just like, I don't see anything. Oh, it doesn't open till 10, time to go. So then that's it. We're done. We got nothing left except the one last Toys R Us that opens at 8. We were finally going to that Oxford Valley Toys R Us, which was our home Toys R Us. So we got there, and holy crap, 7:45, we're the first ones there. We were the first ones in the door. We had our first choice of the pegs. We got it. We got the coup. We knew it. And you got through the pegs, and we're going through, and there's no coup. Manager comes over and says, "Hey, can I help you boys? What you looking for?" And we told him, just because he looked nerdy, we figured he'd know. And he said, "Oh, no, he didn't come in. No, the coup's with this shipment. He's shipping later." Of course, my thought here, who does this? Who releases a movie without the villain? Movie toys without a villain? Who's doing this? So yeah, we failed. We didn't get the coup, and I was mad for a quick moment. I was just like, seriously? This sucks. But you know what? The hunt for the coup was a failure that night, but I had one of the best hunts of my life, and that's what it's all about, spending the time with my brother in Toydom and the thrill of the hunt. In researching this video, I found the case assortments, and the coup was definitely there the first night, but someone got me. Someone got there before us. Was it the pro scalpers? Was it the manager who was the pro scalper? In the end though, did it really matter? Did we find a coup before the movie came out on the 16th? That's a story for another day. And eventually, when I'm done making that video, I'll put it up here. But until then, check out this video here that talks more about my entire origin story into collecting toys, why I do it, and what it means to me. Check that out now, or this if it's up. Either way, remember, you have to get old, but you don't have to grow up. Just be cool and stay nerdy. Later.